Hi friends, this is Caitlin. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be using this new stamp set from My Favorite Things, the Paper Planes stamp set. This is so adorable. I love it for Valentine's Day, but I also love that it's perfect for year-round paper hug cards. I'm going to be pairing it up with the Rolling Clouds stencil. This is one of my all-time favorites. I think for a little bit it wasn't available on the MFT website, but it's back and I could not be happier because seriously, I love this one. It has the most beautiful dramatic cloud lines and you just kind of rotate it around. So originally I thought I was going to use this blue cardstock in the back, but I ended up not using it. So just know that going in. And I was just kind of holding up different sized stitch rectangle dies to figure out exactly what my plan was going to be. I knew I wanted a small mat all the way around. Please excuse the trash truck that's driving past. Yeah, so I knew I wanted a small mat. I knew I wanted to bring in one of the papers from the watercolor wash. So I ended up going with the super light, I think it's cotton candy pink. I wanted this to have a little bit of a Valentine's feel, and so I thought bringing in that little hint of soft pink on that mat would really bring it all together. And my smaller layer I cut from just some heavyweight white cardstock, and the white is what we're going to be ink blending on. So I love this double stitched kind of layer on layer. I just think it's so fun. And I went in with the Summer Splash ink from My Favorite Things as well, and just did some soft ink blending starting on the stencil and working my way up. That's what helps give you that really soft blended cloud feeling so that your clouds still feel white because that top part is left super white. And I'm just rotating my stencil around. When I get towards the bottom, I am going to add some washi tape to the back of my cardstock just because it gets harder and harder to hold your stencil in place as you have less paper to kind of press it into. And then I also went around the edges and the bottom with just a little bit of ink on its own, just to make sure that there weren't any harsh white edges to anything. And I love how soft and fluffy these clouds feel. You can also see that I'm holding my paper with my left hand with my fingers tucked in. And that was just to make sure that any ink that might have gotten on my fingers doesn't leave fingerprints on my clouds. Once that was done, I put it on top of a piece of printer paper, like just scrap paper that I have from, you can see, other ink blendings. And I added some water to the ink and splattered it on with a little thin brush. And then I stamped out my images while the splatters kind of dried. If you're here for a splatter debate, I promise you I'm not the one. So you can call it whatever you want to call it. I've seen people get into very heated debates on other channels, and I don't want that for us. So I added those little dots, and then while it dried, I stamped out my images. I went with this really cute little dog who has the pilot glasses on, and I loved that the little trail coming out of it has that heart. I didn't realize when I was coloring this in that the heart actually die cuts out, but because I colored it, we're gonna accentuate it with foam and keep it in there. So just know that you can do either way. You can let it just be the outline of a heart as the trail, or you can fill in the heart with your accent color or any color if you want. And I wanted that pink to show up in a couple places, so I had it in my background paper. I have it on the dog's accessories and then in that heart. So we get that good kind of 3-spot balance with that kind of minimal accent color versus our blue is going to be way more prominent. You don't want to have a ton of every color. It's nice to have a balance where you have a lot, a little, a lot, medium, and a little. So yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there too. I did get this stamp set was sent to me from My Favorite Things. It was not a requirement that I use it for a video. It was sent to me to use with their weekly sketch challenge blog posts that I've been helping with. But I love this sweet little pup so much that I really wanted to share it with you guys. If you haven't already, I would love it if you'd hit the subscribe button. I'm working towards my goal of getting monetized this year, and I am so close. So speaking of that, tomorrow on Saturday, January 13th, I will be putting out a video recapping all of my 2023 analytics for YouTube and Instagram and going over money. So if you are a YouTuber or aspiring YouTuber or card making influencer, content creator type person, and you are interested to see what my numbers look like, definitely come back tomorrow because it's a pretty cool video. We did some pretty great things this year. So I wanted those little birds that I stamped out to kind of match the paper, the clouds that we did. So I kept them pretty soft, kind of teal shades. And then I went in with cool grays and that same lightest BG10 marker on the little clouds, and then use just the cool grays on my paper airplane, definitely trying to keep it looking white with just some shadows and not like a gray piece of paper. And then to really pop off of that, I definitely wanted my dog to stand out, so I went with browns. I thought if I went beige or like a gray dog or white dog, that it would blend in too much. And I love the little bit of extra warmth that the brown brings to the overall scene. So I'm going in with my E20 family markers. I started with 25, just adding the accents kind of anywhere where shadows would naturally occur, kind of on the bottom of the ears, the bottom of the face, under the scarf, where the arm and belly meet. And then blending that out with the 23 and adding in that little bit of highlight with the 21. I thought I was going to leave his little back spot light, but I didn't love that. So I ended up bringing in the E29 and 27, so staying in the same family, but just a few shades darker. And I used the same ones on his nose, and I really love how that all came together. So I separated all of the coordinating dies, and I do have that little piece of magnet paper or like magnet sheet. These have the sticker on the back, and I like to use these and just add them to the backing cardstock that comes in the packaging, and I just tuck that whole thing into the same sleeve as my stamps. So I have the stamps on the front and the magnet with the dies on the back, and I don't have to worry about losing anything or getting my stamps and dies separated and then forgetting I have them. It's nice to just have everything all in one spot. So once they were die cut, you can see that little heart did die cut out, like I was saying. And I was surprised, but I just kind of went with it. I thought my puppy was going to be flying upward, and you can see I still, in my brain, thought I was going to use that blue cardstock. But before I committed, I wanted to make sure that I stamped out my sentiment. So I decided to just stamp it in black. I wanted it to be bold enough and really easy to read. So I got that lined up in the bottom. I knew no matter what, the bottom area was going to be a nice open space to add that. And I stamped it with the same Honeybee Stamps Intense Black ink that I stamped my other images with. It's my favorite ink to use for Copic coloring, and I definitely works very nicely for sentiments. I have these foam sheets from Pink and Maine, and I forgot that I had them, and I've been using them lately instead of worrying about foam strips. And it's so nice to not have to peel off 1,000 pieces of backing tape. So I trimmed that down to fit on the back of that panel, and I decided that I was going to attach these two directly onto my side folding A2 card base. So I added a little bit of liquid glue to the back of the pink layer and attached that whole thing so that I could shift it around before the ink dried. And this is when I decided that my paper airplane was actually going to be flying down. So I just kind of took my time playing around with the placement of the clouds and the birds and just trying to make sure that it felt balanced. So I ended up pulling that top cloud down, and I put both of the birds up at the top. I didn't want it to look like the bird and the dog were going to run into each other. So I thought it's like the birds are up at the top, just kind of like living their lives, and the dog is on a mission to deliver this paper hug. And I just think that's so cute. So, like I said, I added everything with liquid glue except for that center heart piece. That I'm going to add with teeny tiny thin foam squares from Simon Says Stamp. I've shared those a bunch recently. I really love them and the size of them. They're very easy to use, especially for small accent pieces like this. So there are two little birds make that appearance up towards the top. Do you guys just fiddle with your cards for a while? Like, I feel like sometimes my layouts just come to me immediately, and sometimes it feels like I really work at them for a long time, and I didn't want to edit all of this out because I just have this feeling that I am not the only one that has to like play around and move things back and forth and kind of just take a break and walk away and come back and see how it looks. I think it's easy in these kind of videos to edit all of that out, and it can seem intimidating then when you feel stuck. So hopefully this helps somebody at least feel like they're not alone in kind of that indecision. But yeah, I popped up that heart, and then I wanted to add a little sparkle, but I didn't want to add sequins. So I grabbed these really fun little stickles or glitter glue, and I just added some to the bottom of the little clouds as well as to the heart and the right-hand side of the glass part of the goggles, or like the little pilot glasses. But I just think that's so fun. It has just a little shine and shimmer, and I just think this was such a sweet card. It definitely came together pretty quickly compared to some of my other projects, and I hope it inspires you to send some paper hugs. So thank you so much for coming to hang out. Hopefully I'll see you back over here soon, and until next time, guys, happy crafting.